Hello, it's Anna Hill here with the Farming Today podcast. This time, reducing the environmental impact of farming. Poultry farmers try out biochar to cut emissions, and pig farmers are given a new roadmap to help them navigate their way to less damaging practices.
If we can get more pig meat from less feed, and if at the same time that makes this more sustainable to produce, that's a good thing.
We'll have more on that a little later. First today, White Park cattle are an iconic native breed here in the UK, dating back to Roman times. They're very distinctive, white coats, black ears and black noses. Their falling numbers back in the early 70s was the start of the establishment of the Rare Breed Survival Trust, or RBST. Today, the RBST has placed the breed on the most urgent category of its watch list, after a 36% fall in the number of calves registered since 2022. Our reporter Mary-Claire Carey-Jones has been to visit Park Grace Dew Farm in Monmouth, where the Sutton family have been raising White Park cattle for more than 30 years. She began by talking to Anne Sutton, whose father Frank started the herd.
This is Abbey Bridge Meadow, and it's our White Park cattle herd's favourite field on the farm.
And they're a very striking animal. They've got these really big horns.
They've got a traditional look of being white with speckled black sort of feet, black ears, black noses and black eyes. But occasionally we will have a jet black White Park cow. We've bred them for over 30 years now. We breed partly to keep the pedigree. We also sell the younger bullocks there for stores, for beef. But we also keep them because they complement the landscape. I'm really interested in their heritage and what they give back to the farm, in their looks and in the way that they live here, and they're very much part of our farm life.
So commercially, how are they?
Well, you'd have to ask Frank that one.
Let's go and talk to your dad, Frank, then.
Yeah.
So Frank, we're standing here looking at your herd of White Park cattle. They are such a striking herd. What was it about them that made you want to have them?
When we bought the farm in the early 80s, we looked for something that would live out in the winter without putting buildings up to put them in, and they're hardy enough to live outside in the winter, and providing you arrange for the calving to come in the spring for easy calving, they survive quite well and get on with the job and do what the job we wanted them for.
Are they financially viable on the farm?
They pay for themselves for the grub they eat, but you're not going to go to Gran Canaria on the profit of them.
That's one reason White Park cattle have just been moved to the most urgent category in the new Rare Breeds watch list.
Christopher Price, and I'm Chief Executive of RBST, the Rare Breed Survival Trust.
Why have the White Park cattle found themselves on this list?
I think it's a reflection of rather short-term economic circumstances. They have a wonderful history in the British Isles over many, many centuries, but they find it difficult to compete with intensive, commercially farmed cattle because they are something of a luxury. To keep them requires a certain degree of skill and experience, which isn't always available, and they provide a niche high-value product. We see some others struggling as well. Two of the more primitive sheep breeds, the Soays and Borays, are also struggling, probably for quite similar reasons to the White Park.
But back at the farm in Monmouth, they're passionate about the breed.
I'm John Bowen. I look after these White Parks. It's a lovely breed to look after, and it'll be sad to see him go away. We should just started calving, as you can see a little baby over there, and they're as good as gold. They're a lovely cow.
So Annie, how easy is it to increase the numbers of these White Park cattle?
Frank, my father, has been able to encourage local farmers to set up their own herds with our Grace Dew stock, and we've encouraged them to be affiliated with the White Park Cattle Society. But very sadly, both those herds have been badly affected and impacted by TB. It's a constant battle then to preserve these breeds. You need a strong heart to keep going.
But you think it's worth it?
Absolutely, yes.
Anne Sutton ending that report by Mary-Claire Carey-Jones. Now, all this week we're looking at reducing emissions from farming. The Climate Change Committee, which advises the government, says that agriculture accounts for about 11% of the UK's total emissions of greenhouse gases. The most significant are methane from, for instance, ruminant livestock like cattle, and nitrous oxide from synthetic fertilisers. The waste from poultry manure gives off large amounts of ammonia, which is an air pollutant rather than a greenhouse gas. Or when you have 190,000 birds on your farm, reducing ammonia emissions from the poultry waste is a priority. In South Shropshire, one farm is experimenting with biochar, a type of charcoal. Bob Hockenhull reports.
I'm standing surrounded by 49,000 chickens in one of the sheds at Corfton Farm near Craven Arms in Shropshire. There's chicks as far as the eye can see in a light, airy environment. And if I look at the ground, the bedding is straw pellets mixed in with a black substance called biochar. The farmer here, Steve Povell, says the biochar is helping to reduce pollution and improve nutrient content in the chicken manure.
For the last 18 months we've been experimenting with biochar as an additive on top of the straw pellets to try and soak up some of the ammonia in the atmosphere. So in this particular shed, the straw pellets look a bit darker because they've been mixed with the blackness of the biochar.
You've been doing it for 18 months. Have you measured what it's doing to help the environment and your operation here?
We're experimenting with the amount of biochar we put in the shed as a mixture in the bedding, and also we experiment with different ways of activating the biochar to try and make it more lively to absorb more ammonia. We believe it actually captures some of the ammonia out of the atmosphere, 10 to 20% according to some of the results that we've had back.
Sensors are tracking the ammonia levels, which are monitored in a separate room on a graph. Farm manager George Katanuyu.
After 2 weeks you can notice a bit slightly different. So the one with no biochar, it goes a bit higher. The one with the biochar, definitely it's lower.
Is a good way of reducing the emission, especially ammonia. So ammonia readings on our charts are less and less.
The farm has been awarded a government grant to experiment with biochar. Farmer Steve Povell again.
I'd like to build some more chicken sheds. The only way to do that is to cut down on the emissions and prove to people that you can cut down on the emissions. So that's what we're trying to prove. Biochar can be made out of all sorts of organic material, which is locking up carbon for hundreds of years into this biochar, and then it can be used to lessen the ammonia in a chicken shed, for instance, or in slurry in dairy cows, and then it can be spread on the land, so it holds the nutrients in the actual soil until the crop wants them.
A lot of those nutrients would be lost, would they, if you weren't using the biochar?
Well, yes, nitrogen in the chicken sheds will go up into the atmosphere. Phosphates, for instance, are very mobile in wet soil, so the biochar will help hold on to all that.
And of course there has been a lot of concern in this area that chicken manure is getting into the watercourses. Is that one of the reasons why you decided to use biochar?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons to try and prove to the powers that be. It can be processed on farm as such, processed by putting biochar in with it, just mix in with it, and it becomes a lot more stable, so it is safer to spread. Biochar is not new. It was found to be used by the Amazons in the Amazon rainforest, so it's been around thousands of years. It's just that we forgot how to use it, really. It's time to reintroduce it and make use of the nutrients we have on the farm.
Farmer Steve Povell there talking to Bob Hockenhull. Well, ammonia can also be a problem on some pig farms. Reducing the environmental impact of pig production is the focus of a new roadmap, which has just been published by the British pork sector. The document concentrates on 7 areas: net carbon, air quality, water stewardship, slurry manure and nutrient management, biodiversity, waste and recycling, and on-farm energy. Hugh Crabtree chairs the Roadmap Steering Group on behalf of the Agriculture and Horticulture Development Board, the AHDB. I asked him what the roadmap shows and how it should be used by farmers.
It's going to highlight where we've got to, it's going to provide a framework for continuing the good work and moving forward. And we who've been responsible for drafting it will be looking to get producers to take up better practices and help us with further innovation and producing case studies to show what they've been doing, and indeed to perhaps get involved with piloting innovation as we go forward. The first period we would be looking to do some baselining, and perhaps in the second year we'd try and engage producers a little more with actions that will emerge from there.
What is the priority? Is this about cleaning up pig production, lessening the impact on the environment, or is it also about producing pork more cheaply?
I guess what we would really like is a win-win-win situation when to improve our environmental credentials further requires us to be more productive and more efficient. If we can get more pig meat from less feed, that's what we're trying to do. And if at the same time that makes this more sustainable to produce, that's a good thing.
Are pig farmers taking part, do you think, in this and will use this because they want to expand their operations, farm more pigs, and maybe move to slightly more intensive pig production?
No, I think the dominant pressure is coming from consumers through retailers who are very interested to know what the environmental credentials are of pork production. Clearly, if there's a demand, it may be necessary to extend our production base. But right now, the exact opposite is true. We don't have a rapid increase in demand for pork protein.
The National Pig Association says the roadmap is about practical, achievable improvement. I know there's quite a lot of talk in it about feed. What does this mean for pig farmers?
Well, on the feed front, and there is a lot talked about feed because feed is such a dominant part of our environmental impact. We know that there's an intimate relationship between the environment in which pigs are kept, temperature particularly, and the amount of feed that is used. So encouragement clearly would be made to pay more attention to detail on maintaining exactly the right environment to maximise feed use efficiency. And of course, at the same time, producers are being challenged to do that in a way that it pays proper attention to the welfare of the animals as well.
Is animal welfare one of the things that this roadmap should be improving? Pig production seems to only hit the headlines when there's bad news about animal cruelty. Is it part of the roadmap?
Well, no, the roadmap's about environmental impact. It's not about the welfare of the animals. But I mean, we, I think, as a sector, take attention to welfare very seriously indeed. And of course, there's a good debate about whether more extensive production systems are more welfare friendly than more intensive production systems, but a lot of attention is paid to maintaining good welfare conditions in more intensive systems.
Hugh Crabtree there. That's all from us today. I'm Anna Hill. The producer was Rebecca Rooney. Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.